Dune Part 2 is a 2024 American epic science fiction film directed and produced by Denis Villeneuve. It is the sequel to the 2021 Dune Part 1 as the second half of the two-part adaptation of the 1965 epic fantasy Dune, written by Frank Herbert. The movie primarily covers the events in the second half of the first book in the Dune Saga collection. Paul Atreides aligns with the Freemen against the Harkonnen to seek vengeance for what happened to his family. The good. Dune Part 2 is a visual masterpiece, transforming bleak and hostile landscape into a stunning cinematic production that's beautiful and desolate at the same time. You can literally feel the arid atmosphere as the ethereal soundtrack plays. It didn't help I was watching it during a rather hot and dry spell thanks to the El Nino. The use of color, or its lack, was also used to create an atmosphere of dread and horror in the gladiator-esque world of Harkonnen and a terrifyingly haunting antagonist, lethal, ruthless, and ambitious. Paul Atreides' character has grown a full arc from the previous movie where he was a confused boy unsure of his place and purpose in the world to a more commanding presence, willing to take his fate into his hands and mold it towards or away from a certain path. Paul and Chani finally get some screen time together, which was teased a lot in the promotion for the previous movie, but Zendaya's character barely clocked 7 minutes of the screen time in the 2 hours and 35-minute movie. This time, you get a bit more of them together. The bad. The movie jumps into the story from where the last movie left off 3 years ago, while also introducing new characters and developing previous ones that had been seemingly overlooked, which can get slightly confusing. You might want to rewatch the previous movie, or at least catching up on a recap before you start on Dune Part 2, lest you spend a lot of time trying to get up to speed. Having read the Dune books after I watched the first movie, I have gotten an understanding of the source. There are some things which the movie glossed over without doing justice. For example, the desert power. In Dune Part 2, you don't quite clearly see how the Freemen ride the giant worms or manage to steer them or keep them above the surface. The parts where you actually see them riding are usually depicted blurrily with lots of swirling dust covering the screen, which I guess would be how it would be if one rode a large worm in the desert. So there is that. After a 2-year wait, the movie doesn't feel like it delivers the expectations and closure people expect it to get, in an ending that feels rushed, making viewers wait again for what's supposed to be the third and final installment in the Dune trilogy. Wait, when did it become a trilogy? Thought it was going to be a 2-part adaptation. That's the movies for you. I agree. The storyline is giving white savior trope in the way Paul is portrayed as the one who can lead the Freemen to paradise, or maybe their doom. Yet he is ultimately a bangling outsider, trying to fit in, and wouldn't have survived as long as he did without Chani giving him some pointers along the way. Actually, Chani's character should have been created as a more proactive one in driving the story, but instead was treated as a side romance, decentralized from the main plot. Dune Part 2 casts a rather harsh light on the power of belief, religion, and prophecy, how they can be wielded to control people and political machinations, as with the Bene Gesserit, who seem bent on pulling strings into a tangled mess, and how the best of intentions can lead towards unintended devastation. Final thoughts. Dune Part 2 is a masterful production which does well as a continuation of Dune Part 1, and again remaining mostly true to the source material. While it doesn't feel as ambitious as its predecessor, it does make a worthy successor. With Dune Part 2 currently the highest grossing movie of 2024, its production company, Legendary Pictures, has given the green light for Denis Villeneuve to create a third installment, Dune Messiah. Have you watched the Dune movies or read the books?